Good morning and welcome to the wild environs of the Bill Patton backyard, the patio. And yep, I've got a pretty wild looking backyard. Thank you very much. But and it's a cool morning here, so I'm a little bit zipped up. So a little cool in the morning. It'll be all right. But here today, I'm going to talk about playing a disruptive style, a disruptive strategy on the day. So this is part of Tennis Strategy 201, and I'm making a lot of progress on that book. So, at the beginning of the year, I had set the goal of writing 4 books this year, but with certain circumstances that have been happening, looks like I'm going to cut that back to 3. So, Tennis Strategy 101 is already out. 201, I'm getting done with the first draft. It's taking shape, and I'm kind of in a quandary about whether 201 and 301 will be the same book or different books. But anyway, in the book, we cover the 5 basic strategies for winning a tennis match. And I'm always open to a 6th strategy. So if you have a 6th strategy that is distinctly different from one of the 5 that I'm about to tell you, I'm all ears. But since 2015, I haven't heard one yet. But anyway, the challenge is out there. I really would love for someone to convince me of that. All right. So the first thing is overpower your opponent. That's probably the best way to win if you can win that way, because you're going to win fast. Pressure, time, and space. And that's really what Federer's doing right now. Pressure, movement. And I think that's a Nadal thing, and that's been a Djokovic thing. But both of those 2 players have been branching out using different strategies. Disrupt rhythm. And I think for much of Nadal's career, actually, he's been more of a rhythm disruptor than anything else, because he's always changing his speeds and spins. And then finally, that retriever, that grinder. And I like to say that's the worst way to win, because it takes the most energy. It has the least amount of thinking and planning and taking advantage of opportunities to it. So if you can overpower your opponent, good for you, right? But not everybody's built that way. So anyway, now today, though, I really want to focus in on disrupting rhythm, because it can be the major thing that you're doing on the day. You just want to throw your opponent off. Or maybe it's what you do with your game, because you just have so many different skills that you use. So let's see, one shoulder a little higher than the other. But anyway, you have different skills that you use. So you want to use all of them. You have the ability to hit any spin that you want, and you've got really good control of your racket head. So the most dramatic way that you can go about throwing off your opponent's rhythm is to use the kitchen sink strategy. And I don't necessarily recommend this to everybody. So I'm just going to touch on that briefly, and then I'm going to get into really probably where's a better logical place to start with throwing off people's rhythm. So if you're going to do the kitchen sink, then you want to hit no 2 balls the same. You're going to hit the ball higher, lower, faster, slower, over here, over there. You're going to run people to the 4 corners. You're going to hit top spin, heavy top spin, extreme arcing top spin, slice, knifing slice, chip, all these different things. And so that you probably even want to throw some side spin in there. But that takes a really advanced tool set, right? Now, I'm going to break it down, and here are some simple ways that you can disrupt rhythm without having a dramatically well-developed toolkit of slices and all that. So this is more for the 201 player, somebody who's moving up the ranks, is a 3-0, 3-5, 4-0 who wants to move up to 4-5 and needs a few more tricks in their bag. So one thing that you can do is you can hit one shot full speed, your strong drive shot, and then the next shot a little bit slower. And that's kind of a tricky thing, because a lot of times players don't really detect the lesser speed shot, and they don't prepare for it, and they don't prepare to meet it with a little bit more. So you hit one strong shot, you hit a little bit slower shot, and then what you can do is you can draw from your opponent a shorter ball, and it's pretty predictable. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing is you could hit two sort of medium pace balls, and then all of a sudden come out and with that third ball go a little bit stronger, and then catch them behind. That's another great way to throw off somebody's rhythm. Um, you know, Another great way is to alternate your slices and your top spins. One thing that you'll find with people who hit lots of topspin is that they, or are power players, is that they like the ball coming from you to be pretty predictable. Because if you give them sort of the same amount of pace, or you're trying to hit with them and you give them some power to work with, then you're kind of feeding into what they're doing. So if you're playing against a heavy topspin or a power player, what you really want to do is get the ball out of their strike zone, deliver it, and have it arrive at different times so they can't time it as well. It's very interesting how if I put together a drill where we've got some players on this side and they have to hit all topspin, and then we put other people on this side and they have to hit all slice, it's really interesting how often the slicers win. So, keep that in mind. When you're playing a topspin player, they're kind of hoping you're going to topspin it back to them and you can get into this big topspin battle. But if you slice it and you get the ball lower to them, right, then, that makes it more difficult, because then they have to get even lower to that ball. So let's go into that a little bit. So one thing that's really awesome is if you go and you hit a fairly low slice, what that does is it changes the rhythm dramatically, because the other player has to come forward and they have to get down with the shot, and you kind of have them stuck to the court there. And that's when your next shot can go to the opposite corner, or it can go at the player, or it can go to the corner behind them. So then you've got three different ways that you can get them confused after a slice shot. So that's one thing. Another great way to change the rhythm is to hit a really high, deep arcing shot to the other side. And then what I generally recommend also is that after you hit that shot, that you come inside the court by about 2 or 3 feet. Because if you successfully draw a short ball from them, then you're going to be able to come forward and attack that. Or if they lob your ball back and you're already 3 feet inside the court, then you can come with an overhead and take that ball out of the air. And then, even if they do successfully hit your high ball back and lob it back, or, hit a really big, high arcing shot, you're not so far in that you can't retreat and get back to the baseline. But, a really big, high arcing shot, that's something that a lot of people really don't like. And part of it is the timing aspect, because the ball takes so long to get there, they feel. But then at the same time, it actually arrives maybe a little sooner than they thought, because it didn't hit the ground and slow down. So, Southwest Airlines flying overhead. I'm about 15 minutes from the airport. But we get some airplanes over the top. So it's like you can pretend like it's the U.S. Open, right? So I can straighten this out. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this live video. But so changing the speeds of your shot, that's one way to throw off the rhythm. changing the spins of your shots, right? Don't hit the same way. You know, if you're going to hit top spin, hit more top spin, hit less top spin, and then hit the one that you're, you know, most comfortable with. Uh, Use your top spin to create angles and make people move so that they're not always standing in the same place to hit. Vary the height of your shots. You know, if you hit one higher and one lower, you know, then you can start to figure out which one do they not like. And, you know, make them alternate forehands and backhands, because, you know, a lot of times what's going to happen is you hit a lot of balls to somebody's forehand and they're going to start to get in a groove. And, you know, on average, forehands come faster back than backhands do. So you mix that up and start taking notes. Take notes. You know, if I do this first and that second, then I get a weak shot on that second shot. There's lots of different ways that you can do this. But anyway, hey, thanks for watching. And, you know, I look forward to being able to announce sometime in the next couple of weeks that Tennis Strategy 201 will be coming out. But right now it's in its first draft. Take a look. You're going to see me posting blog posts that are on my main page on Facebook. And you're going to see that I'm producing these little 5-minute, 7-minute videos on high school coaching, because we just had a webinar the other day on best practices in coaching high school. If you like what I'm doing, you know, go ahead, spend your social digital currency, you know, press like, subscribe, share it out to people, because then you share this out to other people who are going to be helped by it. But anyway, thank you so much for your time watching this, and we'll see you in the next one.